over Sonora Pass and come home the long way, which took a number of them hours, 6 hours. And I do want to thank the administration for reimbursing those students for their travel, which was very nice of them. I appreciate that. Let's see here. I stayed until the next day. By the way, this was the evening of the August 4th, and I knew things were getting bad. You can see that little spot right there, which is the DC-10 flying over the fire. It seemed like the fire was settling down a little bit, but that was just because the winds had decreased a little bit in the evening. Stayed the night. The next morning, the DC-10 was flying again, and we received a mandatory evacuation at that point and left. So the station was unoccupied at that point. The fire was still 7 miles away. I actually drove through the fire on the way down the hill, and this was my look looking back up the hill at the fire. So over the next couple weeks, we had a lot of anxiety because the fire continued to creep closer and closer to Baker Station. DP-22, which stands for drop point 22, is where Baker Station is. And that fire just kept moving towards the east steadily. And I attended daily briefings to follow the progress. You can see that red dot right there to the right of DP-20, which is a spot fire. And we knew it was getting close at that point. This was the extent of the fire on August 11th. You can see drop point 22, where Baker Station was, had been apparently overrun by fire. As it turned out, most of the fire in that area was backfiring, which was conducted by hotshot crews literally at Baker Station. By the way, a drop point is where supplies are deposited for use by firefighters, and we were very happy to see that Baker Station was a drop point because that meant that it was protected. And I got to tell you that the fire crews did an amazing job prepping Baker for the fire and getting it ready. One of the bright sides of this whole incident was I met a lot of old friends, and there's Ross Carkeek, my predecessor, started the Forestry Natural Resources Program in 1968, who was concerned about his own cabin in the Long Valley area. And he was one of many people who I was reunited with after a long time. So some of the preparation that took place at Baker Station was, as you can see, the aluminum foil, which the firefighters used to cover vents to prevent embers from entering the buildings. The buildings were simply too large to completely wrap, which they sometimes do. One of our other huge concerns was that the roofs at Baker Station are made out of sugar pine shakes, which apparently are treated with fire retardant, but that didn't give me much confidence. On August 13th, Laura and myself gave permission to visit Baker Station to deal with primarily rotting food in the refrigerators, which the propane had been turned off, and the refrigerators were full of food that students had left, because we didn't think that we were going back the next weekend, and that just wasn't the case. And you can see fire across the canyon. That hillside is on fire. And you can see the hose waves that were left out at Baker Station. We actually rolled our fire hoses out before we left, and they were utilized. But there was a lot of extra hose and fire sprinklers, which were deployed to help protect the buildings, and they were used. So there was probably about 10 or 12 sprinklers that they were literally sprinkling the station with. There were fire crews stationed there, right in the parking lot. You can see there's a tripod with a sprinkler there on top of that firebox, right, the fire hose box. And there's Laura expressing her joy at the fact that Baker Station had survived the fire. I love that photo. To be honest with you, from a forestry perspective, Baker Station came out better than it was before. there was a relatively healthy fire around Baker Station, which was produced by the backfiring operation of the hot shot crews. In the foreground, you can see vegetation that is still completely healthy. Obviously, there's some bushes and things that have been burned, some trees that have been scorched, but for the most part, it looks like a healthy fire happened at Baker Station. Up the hill, it's a little bit more burnt, I have to admit. It's pretty torched up the hill, but a lot of that was montane chaparral to begin with, shrubs, which are going to grow right back from their roots. So I'm not too concerned about that. Some of our favorite features, like our 65-foot long white fir picnic table, survived just fine. By the way, that was constructed by Forestry and Natural Resources students. And there's evidence that Baker Station was very important to the use of the firefighters as a drop point. They had supplies that they could get there. There was a fire engine filling station that they had there that they were actually using one of our fire hose boxes for. You can see that orange tank there. And so there was a lot of protection of Baker Station. Just some images of what the fire left behind. It burned a lot of the sort of woody debris on the ground, but luckily did not get up into the trees too bad. There was fire all around these trees, and their bases are scorched a little bit, but these trees are adapted to resisting these types of fires, and so they fared just fine. This is one of our campsites. As you can see, there's fire on the ground there, but for the most part, the trees came through really well. Looking up the hillside behind Baker Station, there's still a lot of green trees up there. There definitely are some dead trees up further on the hillside there, and a lot of burnt bushes. Like I said, the bushes will grow back pretty quick. I imagine that next spring that hillside is going to be pretty green again. Obviously, there is some concern about debris flows and things like that. So far, after 2 pretty good rainstorms, we haven't seen anything drastic happen, but the Forest Service and their burned area response team has assessed the area, and they have thresholds for precipitation amounts, and if certain precipitation amounts are exceeded, then appropriate measures will be taken. So I just want to finish with this last photo, which is some of our students helping to paint Baker Station. I can't thank our volunteers enough. We depend very much on not only volunteer work, but also on the support of our facilities crew, Jake Raditich in particular, and Judy Lanchester, who I want to thank from the bottom of my heart for all their support and all the improvements and maintenance and repairs that they have provided for Baker Station. It's a remote site, and it has challenges when you're working there. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, first I'm going to let Laura speak.
Hello, my name is Laura McNichol. I am an adjunct in the forestry department. I've been here for 9 years, and I teach mostly lab courses. I've been teaching up at Baker Station for 5 years now. One of the things I wanted to bring up, which Tom does not do, is talk about the work that Tom has done to make Baker Station stable. We have a unique opportunity here on Columbia College campus and at Baker Station in which we get to have an interactive lab to teach forestry science to our students. A number of our students who are in our technical classes are here today. They have done, through Tom's guidance, the field reduction work around Baker Station that allowed the fire crews to use Baker Station as a staging point. It was very exciting to see Drop Point 22, but it would not have happened without the fuel reduction work that has gone into place there for years in advance. We do this on campus as well. In these fire-adapted communities, it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they burn. And thanks to Dr. Tom Hofstra's incredible work and the work of our forestry students, we were able to save Baker Station because of the lack of fuels around the station and the prep work rolling out those hoses. And we are incredibly lucky to have a lot of that work happening here on campus as well. Thank you very much.
Do any students want to say anything real quick? I know at least some people did. Yeah, come on up.
I'm Crystal Sinclair. I've been teaching with Yosemite Community College since 2004, and I've had the privilege of working up here at Columbia College since 2014, right? That's since then. Baker Station is an absolute gem where I just want to express my gratitude to all of you, and especially to Dr. Tom Hofstra for allowing me to do something that I love so much and to share my passion with so many of my students that are actively sitting out here. And I want to let you know how much I work for you guys out there, right? So I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Just thank you guys so much, Baker Station. We're just so grateful that it was the way that it was, and that Tom and the students that work for, or that are in the Natural Resources Department had taken such great care of it, and so that it was, yay! Thank you.